Welcome to the Elements of Spirit readings for the week of July 31st, 2017. This is the reading for the element of Earth, which includes the sun signs of Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. Ooh, yes. Serve your heart on a platter. Ooh! Keep telling the stories of your center. More. Louder. Louder still. So this is true for everyone. Virgo, tell all the stories. All the stories in the name of service. Capricorn, tell stories of self related to work. And Taurus is like, just be on brand. Okay? Know self and talk about stories that please self. Okay, so it's a little bit, it's funny because Virgo popped up first. Everybody do this. So general messages, continue the theme of last week. Keep telling the stories of your origin. Keep telling the stories of your origin to your tribe. But in this case, it's not even, it's like tell the story to anyone who listens. It doesn't even have to be the tribe anymore. It's saying you can keep growing your heart and this leonine influence being where you are. They're reminding me, I'm remembering, affirmations for the earth for the last few weeks. It's been very much like step up, stand in your space, be where you are, be who you are. It all feels really good. Now we're saying Virgo, oh, this is about taking your heart and serving it up on a platter. Virgo, all of the stories are in the name of service. So it's like you're still telling stories about what happened to you, about your inner child, about the events that maybe traumatized you in your life in the name of identifying, sharing with other people who have experienced those same things. And the idea is to use your story in service, to be off the cuff. Don't try to keep your shit together so hard. Don't hold yourself together so hard. Be very generous with the stories of your heart, the stories of your center, because offer it up even if you don't know that there's a willing receptor of it, because the feeling is that someone somewhere at all times is going to vibe with one of your stories, or we'll put it this way, instead of vibing with it, needs to hear it. So even if they don't like it, maybe you tell a story that's very important to you in a setting or situation where you're not actually supported, and then the story becomes powerful, revolutionary, important, because it's a voice of not dissent, but you are authoritatively voicing your truth, and it becomes active because maybe you have to defend it in a situation where it's not necessarily agreed upon or supported or honored. So that's sort of the blanket, and everyone can kind of follow that, both Virgos, Capricorns, and Taurus. Capricorns, though, you've got, it's a little less intense. It's more so you're supposed to tell these stories relative to work, relative to career, relative to, it's like if you have a job interview or if you're trying to make more money, the idea is you have to share something truthful about yourself, about your past, about your struggles, about how you overcame them, the stories of your heart, the purity, the child that's in there, and the things that happened to that child. Telling those stories in service of work or a work project or people getting to know you in work or at work. That is also sort of true for Taurus, not as true for Virgo. Virgo, try to just keep it very personal, very truthful, and don't so much worry about the context in which you're offering it up. Offer it up in service for the purposes of identification, sharing, and that same energy that we were talking about last week, that churning energy where we dissolve the boundaries between self and other, self and group. More in the name of that, it should help people this week. Capricorn, stories of self related to work. It feels like that's where you're being called to know your truth, be your truth, live your truth, know your journey, appreciate where you're at, observe and appreciate where you came from, serve your heart on a platter in the name of work. This is how I got here. This is the struggles that I've had to overcome. Or we have a project that we're working on together. I'm going to tell you something truthful about me, where I come from, how I've learned, what I've worked on, what I've gotten through, and then maybe there'll be an exchange between us, which will make our shared work together a little bit easier. This is also true if you're a Capricorn in relationship. Just be don't be afraid, but just don't be afraid of sharing the stories of your past relative to the work that you're trying to accomplish in the present, okay? Taurus, it's interesting because it feels both existential and work-related, but it's like neither of either. Taurus, you want to focus on just being on message. Don't become anyone that someone else wants you to be. Be your brand. Be yourself. If you care about her and nails and makeup, fucking have at it and talk about it and talk about beauty and let it be like a beauty themed week. If you are all about, the arts and the movies and the music, don't talk about politics this week. If you're all about politics, don't talk about the arts. Let yourself really, let yourself be you, do you, speak you, feel you, think you, sell you, tell you. So it's a little bit more of an embodiment, but if you need this, it almost sort of feels like you serving yourself up on a platter might be a little overwhelming because it feels like you just really don't want to use that energy or time right now. It just feels like you sort of want to chill, so the idea is fine, chill, business as usual, one foot in front of the next, but just try to focus a little bit on not being somebody else. Focus on being yourself and on only talking about the things which bring you pleasure. Don't waste your breath, I guess would be the message this week. Don't waste your breath being someone you're not. Okay, it's very sweet. I offer the stories of myself, my heart, my struggle, and my truth in service of those who would hear. So again, you guys are continuing the theme of the ether reading last week and just further driving home that like my story is valuable, my truth matters, and I offer it in service. I offer the stories of myself, my heart, my struggle, and my truth in service of those who would hear. And when we go back to the ether reading, wherever I am on my path, I pause to observe where I came from. I appreciate my journey. I appreciate where I am. And I share the stories. I offer the stories of myself, the stories of that timeline from wherever I am to wherever I started. Even if it seems like it's a million miles, maybe the distance is not actually that long if we measure the radius as opposed to the circumference or whatever the length of this spiral is extended into a line, right? When I pause, wherever I am on my path, pausing to observe where I came from, I appreciate my journey, I appreciate where I am, and I see that center, maybe I reflect a little bit on where I came from, and I offer the stories of myself, my heart, my struggle, and my truth in service of those who would hear, to whomever is listening. So the important thing here is you don't have to be on a soapbox. The only one who has a little bit of a soapbox vibe are the Virgos. Capricorn is like a soapbox at work in order to accomplish a project or to get some work done. And Taurus, it's like the stakes are not as high, but it feels like you're a little uncomfortable offering that much of yourself up. So the idea here is just to stay on brand of who you actually are and not tell someone else's stories. Just talk about the things that you love and that serve you and that are truthful to you. Struggles that you've been through, but just again, you don't have to stray too far from those things which just bring you pleasure to talk about, Taurians. But for all of you, I offer the stories of myself, my heart, my struggle, and my truth in service of those who would hear. I offer them. It's an offering. I don't care whether you listen. I'm going to tell it anyway. I offer you this story in service. I hope something sticks. I hope something works. I hope something that lit me up enough to tell this story lights you up enough to see yourself, to see your center from a new perspective. Because wherever you are in your spiral journey, the center is always visible from a different perspective. So maybe the sharing of your story will help someone to remember where their center is and to feel the gravity of the prison of their soul, whatever happened to them when they were, as they were growing on their past timeline. Will maybe see that prison as the structure which keeps that gravitational center in place, and which actually defines our center by confining our center. I offer the stories of myself, my heart, my struggle, and my truth in service of those who would hear. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to offer you these readings. Tune in next week, and I love you. Bye.